Logistics. The successful application of a strategy requires a careful study of inputs, outputs, and the strategy connecting the inputs and the outputs and the available energy sources to fuel the strategy. And this study is called logistics. A logistical problem is studied at the elementary level first, and then levels of greater complexity are studied as a synthesis, of elementary factors. Now, this means that a given system is analyzed, and such system is broken down into its subsystems, and these in turn are analyzed until by this process, one arrives at the logistical, quote unquote, atom, the individual. Now, this is where the process of synthesis properly begins, and at the time of the birth of the individual. Subtitle: The Artificial Womb. From the time a person leaves its mother's womb, its every effort is directed toward building, maintaining, and withdrawing into artificial wombs various sorts of substitute protective devices or shells. The objective of these artificial wombs is to provide a stable environment for both stable and unstable activity, and to provide a shelter for the evolutionary processes of growth and maturity, i.e., survival, to provide security for freedom, and to provide definitive protection for offensive activity. Now, this is equally true of both the general public and of the elite. However, there is a definite difference in the way each of these classes go about the solution of problems. Subtitle: The Political Structure of a Nation, Dependency. The primary reason why the individual citizens of a country create a political structure is a subconscious wish or desire to perpetrate their own dependency relationship of childhood. So they hire politicians to face reality for them. Summary: the people hire politicians so that the people can, 1, obtain security without managing it. 2, obtain action without thinking about it. 3, inflict injury, theft, and death upon others without having to contemplate either life or death. 4, avoid responsibility for their own intentions. 5, obtain the benefits of reality and of science without exercising or exerting themselves in the discipline of facing or learning either of these things. They give the politicians the power to create and to manage a war machine to, 1, provide for the survival of the nation/womb, 2, to prevent encroachment of anything upon the nation/womb, 3, to destroy those citizens of their country who do not conform for the sake of stability of the nation/womb. And politicians hold many quasi-military jobs, the lowest quasi-military job being the police, which are soldiers, the attorneys and the CPAs next, who are spies and saboteurs who are licensed, and the judges who shout the orders and run to close the union military shop for whatever the market will bear. The generals are industrialists. The presidential level of commander-in-chief is shared by the international bankers. And the people know that they have created this farce and financed it with their own taxes, quote unquote, consent. But they would rather knuckle under than be the hypocrite. And thus a nation becomes divided into two very distinct parts: a docile subnation and a political subnation. The political subnation remains attached to the docile subnation, tolerates it, and leeches its substance until it grows strong enough to detach itself and devour its parent. That's your politics.
Remember what we heard him say today about, I don't know if you heard it, but the guy was given the meaning of politics. Poly means many, ticks means bloodsuckers.
They are. Now let's keep in mind when you start looking at Supreme Court cases and you look at what income is and income tax is, it's consent to fraud. They're telling you it doesn't apply to your labor. It doesn't apply to pecuniary wages. It applies to foreign corporations doing business by virtue of capital investment, and not so much the investment, but the profits made on that is the only thing that is income. And they've been telling people that their labor is income. They've been telling people that their pecuniary wages for services and trade is income. And they lied. And the people are suffering collateral damage on a massive, beyond massive scale for having participated and continuing to participate in a known fraud, and they're tearing your families apart and then sacrificing your babies. And then you're acting like some devil did this to you. And you keep consenting it to it. And then when people tell it to you, you act like you don't know what they're talking about. It's called collateral damage. So since you consent to demonology, why should you complain about the consequences when you're reaping what you keep sowing? You agree to unum sanctum. You agree to a doctrine of discovery. Then you pretend you don't know what it is. Then you fakedly go along with BS and keep calling it racism and prejudice, which it is not. It's unum sanctum operations. And you keep calling your labor compensation and your pecuniary wages income. And then you keep signing papers claiming that you have income, and now you've committed a fraud. Now they can hold you to it because you keep on signing papers saying that you have income when you don't. Then they use it against you again to destroy you. And you keep cooperating. And here's the law supreme telling you that your labor and your pecuniary labor is not income. And then you teach it to your children. And then say that they're educated. Then you wonder why you're in this trouble right now. With all this collateral damage, look at the communities now. Look at the broken families. You thought they were broke before the fake pandemic. Look what's happening now. It's called collateral damage. However, it was intentional. It wasn't accidental. Now you have a choice to deal with the higher principles of your ancient mothers and fathers and turn back to the principles of your ancient mothers and fathers, or you can go along with the earth being cursed, which is what's happening right now. However, the decision is yours. However, the responsibility is also yours. So don't start looking for somebody to start carrying the cross for you. If you're still breathing, you're still achieving. So let's get some work done. And thank you for sharing with us tonight, because this is what it's about, collateral damage. So let's discuss some of this.
We also talked about the fact that while it was targeted at the Asiatics,
conversation that we had today,
with two.
Now it's yeah. You know, like they say, and it's so true. There's no honor among thieves. No honor among thieves. People who were benefiting for decades and generations at the expense of the Moors, branding us blacks, Negroes, Native American, everything to remove us from treaty protections, and constitutional protections and right of a state, and in order for them to legally, not lawfully, misclassify our people as minors, and our people didn't know it is wardship tenures so they could steal their estates. And a lot of people have been benefiting for decades. What they didn't expect is the de facto operators to turn on them. And as we've been telling people for the last 25, 30 years, what are they doing now? Since the world don't want to deal with the human traffickers and the baby sacrificers, because that's really their religion. People just don't know it. So people think that when they did the Roe versus Wade case, measured by the Dred Scott case, because that's what was used as a reference, Dred Scott case, devaluing humanity, that they loving women and everything. And so now you have a lot of sick people. They're slow-minded. They have perforated brains because they've been eating their own babies at burger joints and don't know it, sacrificing their babies, pretending they're helping women control their bodies. It's such hypocrisy. So they've been murdering their children and acting like they're not doing demon sacrifices, because that's what they are. And there ain't rituals either. And guess what? They're not eating Ritz crackers. They're actually eating powdered babies and drinking blood. And people say, no, they're not. They're just doing these because these are nice wine cookies, and they're drinking nice wine and stuff. Well, they've been doing it for centuries, and you've been helping them. And you can keep on pretending that it's just a beautiful spiritual ritual. These people are demons, and you have no idea how demonic they really are. You're going to find out some more stuff. And if anything, another reason we're having this conversation, because the truth of the matter is we're going to need a lot of healing among the people. Because what we've been telling you for 25, 30 years is now hitting you in your face. You think you've seen it. You haven't seen it yet. And it's going to be so ugly, cruel, and devastating that a lot of people won't survive it mentally. Plus one of the things that they wanted to do, this is another reason why they wanted to expand, burger joints 2 for $5 and all that stuff, so they could get rid of the carcasses of the babies, that they didn't use the organs and stuff and the blood, is so that they could contaminate the people, so that when this stuff comes out, they can charge you with cannibalism of your own children. And then when you start saying that, oh, we didn't have anything to do with that, you did. Although many of you have been ignorant of it. But you need to know that much of the sicknesses that you have and the retardation that's among many of you is because you've been eating your own babies for quite some time, right out of the burger joints. Uncomfortable truth, but it absolutely is true. And for those who doubt it, do a little bit more research, and you will find there is no burgers, no so-called hamburgers that are sold under the U.S. corporation jurisdiction that does not have human DNA in it. That's a fact. It absolutely does. And so for all of you who've been thinking that you're so super duper spiritual, of God, of Jesus, and of Allah and everything, doing your burgers, you have a lot of women who've been donating their babies ignorantly, and some, unfortunately, willingly, to these human traffickers who have been pretending to be government since 1871, who have actually been genociding the people and getting rid of the carcasses, feeding them back to the people, and then charging you income tax that doesn't apply to you to support the institutions and the agencies to maintain these operations. And what we just talked about is lightweight. We really don't get into the real depth of what they've been doing to your children. We're just letting you know that you've been eating them. And it's true. And that this is collateral damage. So there's a lot of spiritual ugly going on, a lot of spiritual damage going on, and much of this stuff is going to come out more and more and more. And as it does, a lot of people, when they realize how corrupt they have become, They will be angry at the hybrids for doing this to them, but they also must start taking responsibility and stop consenting to this demonic operation, etc., known as the United States Corporation Company, that has been fraudulently presented as a country since 1871. And you got to stop pretending that you don't know this. You got to stop pretending that you don't comprehend what we're talking about. However, while you may charge us and be angry at us for telling you the truth and giving you a mirror, understand that these people who you've been defending are willing to genocide you and your family out of physical existence while you keep defending them and going against us for telling you the truth. And for those who've been sitting on the sideline judging those who've been trying to enforce the Constitution, which would include all treaties, etc., and pretend you don't know what this is all about, you shall be charged in history for your misprision. And with that, for the subject at the moment, I yield the floor.
You want to answer questions or?
Yes.
You got like an hour and 45 minutes left. Let me see. Of course, a lot of people are asking where they can get your book, of course.
They'll get that through here. We'll have all the stuff available to you later in their original text. Most of the books that we've been putting out over the years are highly abbreviated because we had so much opposition from people among us who should have been doing this for the people decades ago. And for both economic dispensation and expediency, much of it was heavily edited and put out. But you will be getting the Adeptus forms later this year.
Here's a question from Bobineer. Can Taj talk about the letter from Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano to Donald Trump? Do you know that letter?
Oh, I haven't analyzed that. I don't have that before me, but they could share it if they would like to. If they could screenshot it and we can read it off.
Okay.
But I've heard of it, but I don't have it before me.
Yeah. Okay. So they put this question in there like 10 times, so you don't have to put it in there anymore. If you have it,
Do what?
No, I'm just saying if they haven't, you haven't seen it. So let me see.
Yeah, I haven't read it in detail. And keep in mind when you're reading this letter, and people need to know this: Donald Trump has not taken a penny for that position of the office of the president for the United States because it's de facto. And Donald Trump, as I told you a couple of years ago, I've been saying for the last couple of years, with a lot of people criticizing me and debunking what I'm saying, and I'm going to say it again. Donald Trump is assigned, and his missionary work goes far beyond that office, which is already dead. That must be understood. Keep what I just said, and you can hold me to it.
You didn't say was, you said is.
Is.
Present.
I ain't no was. He is.
Someone is asking about whether or not the flash drive, USB drive is still available. Yes, it is. And if you look across the screen, you'll see the information scrolling across the screen for anyone who wants to get the USB drive, the flash drive, called the More Science Study USB. But just text USB to that number and we'll get back to you. Let me see if there are any more comments, questions.
And I will
here's a question.
Give note too. I will review that letter from the Cardinal to Donald Trump. And keep in mind, as we've been telling people for the last few years, that there would be a feedback loop because the nations of the earth, the Asiatic nations, would stop trading with the U.S. corporation and buying their treasury bonds, which is really what all of this confusion is really a diversion from the fact that the stock market crashed. They're covering it up. Donald Trump administration absorbed the Inquisition Revenue Service's operation of the Circle Church and the Chancery, known as the IRS, into the Treasury, which was closed since 1921 and has been using their own system to pump up so that some of you right now are still getting Social Security and some of the other pensions, all of which had already been squandered. And if it hadn't been for Donald Trump, a lot of you would be on the curb already. And again, that's not a defense of Donald Trump. I'm just telling you what he's done and what his job is. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, many of you would be dead right now. That's the truth. But because they're controlling our estate is why I speak of him. Not because I'm supporting him or any other of the hybrids who've been operating at the North unlawfully for generations to the destruction of the people of the planet as well as the people of the land. However, like I said years ago, Donald Trump is better than the whole body of the rest of them wrapped up in golden ribbon. That's the fact.
We won't talk too much about him, so they won't.
No, I'm just saying what it is.
I know.
But go ahead. And that's not a defense of him. I'm just telling you what it is. You ain't seen nothing yet. You just wait what you're all going to get hit with in the next week or two. And then in this coming part of the year, if anything that you need with each other and your family members is patience, tolerance, love, and forgiveness, because you're going to need it. And you're going to need it more than what it sounds like I'm telling you. It may get better later on, but before it gets better, you're going to go through a horrible storm. And you're going to recognize the psychic attacks that you've been under by these people that you thought were religious people. And you're going to find out who the real devils have been. For real. Are we here to try to kind of like, like we've always said, Dr. Naila, we can't stop the bloodshed. What we're trying to do is limit it. We can't stop the suffering. What we're trying to do is limit it. But we must be fair with ourselves and be fair with people and encourage them to dig within themselves that which is divine, which is where it is, and be honorable and sincere with the love and the cares that they claim to have for all that is divine and for humanity at large, and be very sincere because you're going to need it. However, we're not going to tell you anymore because how do you put it this way? We don't have to tell you we tell you get a political umbrella, study civics. Study real history. Declare your nationality. Nationalize. Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? You're going to find how very serious all of this is. Not some time off. You're living it. It's going to become more and more clear to you why a lot of things we've been saying to you for the last 40 years. Hopefully, we can all come together, love one another, and try to do that which is good, and particularly forgive each other, forgive yourselves, be firm against that which is wrong, be firm against that which is evil, stop supporting that which is evil, stop consenting to that which you know is a fraud, and that's the least you can do for the children. The least, because you damn sure ain't done much else. Because this stuff has to be paid for. Some can be fixed. Some must be removed from the planet. And that's like for real. And you're going to need strong men and women to handle what you're getting ready to face. You ain't faced nothing yet. This is getting ready to get beyond ugly. Beyond ugly. Don't feel sorry for yourselves, though, because you earned it with your hypocrisy. and denying the honor of your ancient mothers and fathers and following after their idol gods of Rome that you knew nothing of. So we're not totally innocent either. Next, Dr. Naila.
Okay. Person still with the. What can we do as a whole, T. Craig Forces? What can we do as a whole, or to take action and see it change faster than 50 to 100 years?
The faster you stop supporting Rome and the institutions, and the faster you stop calling these fakers your government, and the faster you stop claiming your labor as income, because this is key. These are keys. I'm only giving you some keys, but this is an example of what's been done on multiple levels, on both the physical and the metaphysical level, and you haven't taken responsibility. Take responsibility to the truth. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Stop the BS and stop pretending you don't understand this stuff, because society around you is collapsing. The real deal of it is people can keep on acting like they don't comprehend this. Well, guess what? The house is falling down around them. You're not going to send this to another generation. You're not getting this off. This time you ain't getting this off. This is really what you really must understand. This time you're not getting this off. You got this off many other cycles. You ain't getting this off this cycle. Take responsibility and stop consenting to this BS.
Okay, questions. Okay.
And stop supporting institutions and persons of these institutions who have not been telling you the truth, but they're still draining your communities. You can stop that for starters.
Question: what if we want to buy more land? Should we just wait?
You're not buying anything. Well, let's put it this way. Let's get real. There is no buying or selling of land. Land cannot be sold. Let's get that very clear. Everything operating at Midgard is a stewardship situation. Therefore, you're dealing with inheritances that cannot be transferred. Any instrumentality issued by Rome or any subcategory or member of the Roman Curia in the order of deeds and mortgages is de facto, is a fraud, and is not a sale at whatsoever. It is a tax instrument of sharecropping. So anything that you transfer between yourself and them is a fraud, and you're buying nothing. If anything, claim your estate because you're the heirs. Now, who's the heirs? Now you got another issue that has been covered up, don't you? So we have issues that these things have been addressed, but people have not taken them serious. However, that's the call, true heir. So now who's the American? Because the daggone shore into hybrids. And the daggone shore is not the baby eaters. Yeah, they like it rare too. You find out how ugly this thing really is. A lot of you are, put it this way, the fact that some of the stuff that's really been going down is not known by some of you have saved a lot of you mentally, because many of you, if you knew how ugly this stuff is, you'd crack, which is also part of their intention. So you're giving some of this information to prepare you for what you're going to be smacked with. And it's not comfortable. And what we talked about is really minor. It gets that ugly. However, we understand the rule and the nature law of cause and effect. Even though the demon dragons are strong, they're only strong because you keep feeding them. You know, dragons talk big shit. Oh, I'm going to eat your sandwiches and take all your sneaks and everything. And everybody goes, oh, please, take it, not my stuffeth. You start feeding them that while you start going, I'm going to take your stuff. You know, big wings and everything, that flame start going out. He's trying to put out your flame, your Christ. You start feeding him, He has only energy because you keep feeding him.
We talked about